Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. Well, good evening, everyone. This is a regular meeting of the Council of the Township of Montclair, and it is being broadcast live on TV 34 and is streaming live on Montclair TV 34 YouTube channel. It is available on demand and will be rebroadcast. Everybody, please join me and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Absolutely. Mayor Spiller.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock.
Present.
Councilor Cummings.
Present.
Councilor Price Abrams.
Present.
Councilor Russo.
Present.
Councilor Schlager.
Here.
Councilor Jacobellis.
Present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'm going to begin just with, we have a couple proclamations on the agenda here. The first one is a proclamation congratulating the city of Cherepovets, Russia, on its 243rd anniversary. And I'll just read this briefly here. Whereas the history of Cherepovets, Russia began in the 14th century with the foundation of the Cherepovets Resurrection Monastery in the banks of the Shakuzny River. Cherepovets was given official town status in 1777 and became a center for trade, manufacture, and transportation. Today, Cherepovets is well known all over the world for its industry, but most of all for its wonderful hospitality, which is so generously given to all who visit their city. Whereas the sister city concept was created by President Eisenhower in 1956, the White House Summit on Citizen Diplomacy, where he envisioned a network that would be a champion for peace and prosperity by fostering bonds between people from different communities all around the world. And whereas friendship among people of different countries and culture is a great force in creating peace, tranquility, harmony, and understanding, whereas the Township of Montclair has a long tradition of working for peace and cross-cultural understanding, and to this end, extended an invitation to the city of Cherepovets to become a sister city in 1991 for the purpose of creating greater mutual understanding between our two communities. And whereas the relationship forged over the last 29 years between Montclair and Cherepovets has been enhanced by the visits made by many professional men and women, members of the municipal government, academic delegations who traveled over the years from both Russia and the United States to exchange ideas and information. Whereas on November 4th, Russia celebrates National Unity Day with festivities aimed at unifying people of all ages and professions. On the same day, Cherepovets celebrates the anniversary of its foundation. Now, therefore, the mayor and the council of the Township of Montclair do hereby congratulate the city of Cherepovets on the 243rd anniversary of its founding and send our very best wishes. So congratulations there. And officially, I so move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Next, we have a proclamation on Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month. Mr. Deputy Mayor, would you be willing to read that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a proclamation for Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month. Whereas September is National Suicide Prevention Month, a time in the United States when individuals, survivors, local organizations, mental health advocates, and government agencies across the country increase their collective efforts to reduce suicide. And whereas World Suicide Prevention Day is observed on September 10th, a time when millions of people around the world join their voices to share a message of hope and healing. And whereas those observances are united in raising awareness that prevention is possible, treatment is effective, and people do recover. And whereas the World Health Organization reports that nearly 800,000 people die by suicide in the world each year, which is about one death every 40 seconds, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention reports that suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States, accounting for 123 deaths every day, or one death every 12 minutes. And whereas suicidal thoughts, much like mental health conditions, can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, or background. In fact, suicide is often the result of an untreated mental health condition. And whereas the COVID-19 pandemic has increased stress and social isolation for many of us, these stressors, as well as known risk factors such as childhood trauma, substance misuse, or even chronic physical pain, can contribute to someone considering suicide. However, the research is clear. suicide is preventable. And whereas evidence shows that providing support services, talking about suicide, reducing access to means of self-harm, and following up with loved ones are just some of the actions we can all take to help others. And whereas the Township of Montclair has joined the call to promote awareness and increase proactive measures to reduce suicide by collaborating with Hackensack Meridian Health, Mountainside Medical Center, Mental Health Associates of Essex and Morris, Montclair Board of Education, and other mental health providers to ensure access to programs and available services, and to reinforce that suicide prevention is and remains a municipal priority. And therefore, the mayor and council of the Township of Montclair hereby proclaim September 2020 as Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month in the Township of Montclair. We encourage the community to recognize the signs of a problem and guide those in need to appropriate support services, because each member of our community is valued and irreplaceable. And I so move, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So those are the two proclamations on our agenda. But once again, I do want to note, Madam Clerk, I see some beautiful flowers behind you. And it also goes along with the fact that we have one more proclamation tonight. So I'd like to do the honors of reading this one. This is a proclamation honoring Juliet Lee. So whereas the mayor and council of the Township of Montclair, on behalf of the municipal staff and all Montclair residents, congratulate Juliet Lee, who is retiring November 1st, 2020, after serving the township for over 19 years. And whereas Ms. Lee, who began working with the township in 2001, has served the clerk's office in several capacities, initially as a principal clerk, then taking on the responsibilities of records, licensing, and data coordinator. She then rose to the position of deputy township clerk. While gaining practical day-to-day experience in the numerous and varied functions of the office, Ms. Lee completed the clerk certificate course, becoming a registered municipal clerk in 2017. And whereas, following the April 1st, 2019 retirement of Township Clerk Linda Wannett, Juliet provided invaluable assistance and support not only to the Township Council and Montclair government, but also the Montclair community. And whereas Ms. Lee is a member of the Essex County Clerks Association and has served as the Secretary, Vice President, and President, she is also a member of the Friends of Barnet and has participated in many events sponsored by the Montclair Sister City organization, including traveling to the London Borough of Barnet as part of a cultural exchange. And whereas Juliet is a devoted daughter, mother, granddaughter, and loyal friend, her inimitable sense of style, encouraging smile, ready laugh, and ever-present offer to help a coworker and residents alike will be missed. Now, therefore, the mayor and the Township Council of Montclair in the County of Essex hereby recognize the many contributions Juliet Lee has made to our community and join with her family, friends, and coworkers in recognizing and thanking her for her service to Montclair. We wish her well in her happy retirement, in which she can spend time with family and friends and further pursue her many interests, which include reading and travel. Juliet, thank you so much for all your years of service, and we say congratulations, and I officially so.
You pulled the last one on me. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God. It's not on my list. I don't have a
Somehow it didn't make it onto your list. I don't know how, right?
Thank you so much. I want to just thank you all for all your well wishes for my retirement. I am truly excited about venturing into the next stage of my life. My stay here at Township of Montclair has been really rewarding, and I'm just going to cherish that forever. So I just want to thank you. Thank you so much for all your well wishes. And I wish you all success. And I'll be around town. I live in town, not in Montclair, but in Bloomfield. But I'm sure you guys will see me around. But thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Juliet, you have been such a big part of the success of this town, certainly council and councils for many years. I think everybody just owes you a debt of gratitude. We thank you so much, and of course we, know you will be enjoying yourself, and we certainly hope you do so.
I'm looking forward to it.
Again, and thank you.
Thank you. Don't make me cry. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that, Don't think we have any other quick surprises on here, so we'll move to open up. Well, first, let's approve the minutes. These are minutes which have been presented to the council of July 7th, 2020. Are there any corrections or additions? If not, I so move.
Second.
Questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Thank you very much. And now I will turn it over to Mr. Stafford and Mr. Fan to work on public comment.
Thank you, Mayor. The first caller for public comment this evening has a number starting with 973-886. 973-886. It is your turn to comment. Please state your name for the record and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Betsy Tesler. Good evening. I want to start by thanking the mayor and council for the work you do to represent the best interests of Montclair, including by passing the rent control ordinance, which I believe is in the best interest of all of Montclair, including me as a homeowner. I'll say for the record, I don't feel that that is something that needs to go to a public referendum. You're our elected officials, and I trust you to pass ordinances that benefit me as a resident of Montclair. I was grateful to receive the email with the press release issued on September 4th by the mayor and council that gave residents a heads up that the Montclair Property Owners Association had succeeded in obtaining township residents' contact information. I know this was over your objections and without our consent. That press release said, if you are contacted more than twice or are harassed in any way, please email Township Attorney Ira Karasik. I did just that as I received 2 emails and 2 text messages from the Montclair Property Owners Association, so a total of 4 contacts. Mr. Karasik did get back to me and explained that apparently the Montclair Property Owners Association is saying that they intended 2 contacts by email and 2 contacts by text rather than 2 contacts total. So I was wondering, can you clarify whether the Montclair Property Owners Association was actually permitted 4 contacts regardless of their intentions? I asked since the press release stated to report being contacted more than twice. And in any case, even if they were permitted 4 contacts, I would just like to go on the record and say that I do consider 4 contacts by this group to be harassment, and I hope the township conveys this back to the court. Thank you.
Mayor, do you want me to respond?
Our township attorney speak to this in a little more detail, but first I wanted to address your early parts of your comments. Certainly, I appreciate what you note in terms of us finally getting much needed rent control here in Montclair. It was something that had been considered for quite some time. We had a number of individuals come before council over the course of almost a year, if not a little longer, to talk about this issue. We researched it, we looked into it, and we passed something that we think is fair to all residents in town, as you note yourself, homeowners and renters. And we're happy to finally be able to get that done. To see the efforts to try and undermine that, through, in often cases, my opinion, some deceptive text messages asking people, do you favor rent control, and asking them to sign a petition, implying that, people who are supportive of it would be doing so. You're yet another example, and the attorney will speak to it, what the legal piece of it is versus the intent of the number of contacts that have been occurring, including the format of how that's been done. I know a number of individuals had reached out noting that despite the number of contacts, it's still not legal to use an automated system to reach out via text message, and that seemed to be the case as well. So a lot of pieces there that are problematic in some ways, but it's part of the efforts to undermine a long thought through, well put together, in our opinion, rent control ordinance that's balanced and fair. So we will do everything in our power to make sure that is maintained. But I will turn that over to Mr. Mr. Karasik to speak to the number of contacts, exactly what was worded by the judge, et cetera, and any other insights. Thank you, Mr. Karasik.
Ms. Tesler, Betsy, because we know each other. I did read the transcript again, which we got recently, of what exactly was said in court. And they were a little tricky, shall I say, but the indication was that we were to turn over these lists, which contained in some cases email addresses, some cases text phone numbers for text messages, and in some cases both. And when the representation by the committee, by the plaintiffs, were that they were going to make 2 contacts, if you read the transcript, it could be interpreted to say 2 contacts via each method. So I don't think that they violated at least the letter of what they said. However, spirit, I would say another thing. In any case, many people have received more than 4 contacts, because I've received at least today I answered at least 42 residents who gave me information about who called it, and many of them had received actual 5 messages. So that would definitely be in violation of what was represented to the court. One thing I'd like to say as well is that I know that the messages that have been given out have talked about the township doing this in secret. And I just can't emphasize more that the rent control ordinance was passed after months of discussions, at least, in fact, you could even say years of discussion. And on the very evenings when the meetings in which the ordinance was passed, we had 60 and 70 people calling in. So there was no secret about what was done. And I would consider certainly the messages that said that the township went about this in some secret or in some hidden way was absolutely incorrect from a legal point of view and from a factual point of view. So with respect to what we're going to do about the fact that there have been this many contacts, I am going to follow up and make it clear that the plaintiffs did violate the order. And one other thing I should say now, because they'll be asked, we did receive a petition at the clerk's office from the plaintiff group. The clerk's office is processing it right now. It was submitted on Friday. And at some point, the clerk's office will determine whether it's sufficient or not. If it is sufficient, that will lead to an election in all likelihood. So you should be aware of that. At this point, since the petition was submitted, there's absolutely no more reason to get any emails from this group or any text messages. So if anything comes further, I would urge the mayor and council and anyone else to please let me know, because they're specifically not supposed to use this information for politics. The only point of it was to be able to reach residents during the COVID when they couldn't go door to door in order to collect signatures. That was what the judge specifically said they were allowed to do. So I'm sorry for the long-winded answer, but I wanted to sort of catch all these points. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Mr. Mayor, could I ask, I don't have much voice. Yeah, I don't have much voice left. I'm not having, but I got to just say something on this. And Ira, I know you know I ran a consumer affairs office, and consumer fraud is the big thing for me. I don't like people being deceived or misled or having a consumer deception out there. I'm hopeful you're going to emphasize to these folks that they're doing the wrong thing. But to Ms. Kessler's point, 4 contacts, whether it's even just 2, but when the content is so deceptive as to make people think that they're going to be signing something to put rent control on the ballot, meaning, to get rent control, that's the part that bothers me, because even if it's 1 contact, the contacts are containing misinformation, misleading information, deceptive information. It's really a consumer fraud. So I'm urging all residents to understand what's been going on. We couldn't prevent this. We try to prevent this intrusion into your personal information and life, but we were, put in a position we had to disseminate this to these folks. And I'm just so disappointed that people would do the type of thing they've been doing, and that this deceptive practice may lead to people. Well, I hope the clerk has done a great job all these 19 years, been serving all the time I've served. But the clerk's got to go through these names. I think a lot of names were collected who didn't even know they were signing this for the purpose it's being used. So that, to me, that's a consumer fraud. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Stafford, next caller.
Thank you, Mayor. Caller with the number starting 973-619. 973-619, it is your turn to speak. Please state your name for the record and keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Yes, good evening. This is Ahaba, the president of the Tenants Organization of Montclair Advocacy Group. I hope you're all doing well. So my comment, you're able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
My comment will be a little shortened because Betsy covered so much. Now, my family's been in this town since the 1960s. I didn't just pop up here all of a sudden. Many from the South and many as immigrants from the Caribbean and South America. I'm a native of Montclair, and I'm here to fulfill a legacy for the betterment of families, people, humans struggling to live their best life in Montclair. They are the middle class, the upper class by society's definition of them, and unconscionable owners have to stop treating them as something else, something less than the best. We appreciate the fact that the Montclair Local did have some recent coverage on the rent freeze ordinance as well. You know, we're talking about the rent control ordinance, but the rent freeze ordinance as a separate or parallel entity, that it included some actual information and even guidelines about the rent freeze increases with regards to tenants, knowing where we would refer them to help. Also with the understanding that those appointed to the Landlord Tenant Committee will do their best and continue to do their best to help within their authority to do so. So in this article, it mentioned more than 24 complaints, which we know means possibly 10 times that. Those who are not yet speaking up, some who will just won't due to fear of retaliation, we're working with them. We know just like deer, you see 2 or 3 of them, there's actually something like a herd. You see one mouse, there's plenty more. 10 times 24, 24, minimum 240 people, that could be written submissions. By the way, I'll give this tip at this moment because we've had a little bit of this too, not so big. People who have expressed a concern about mice. Mice are afraid of their own reflection. They also detest the smell of peppermint oil. It only works for a few hours at a time, so average resident might go through several bottles just to deter them. Now I'm going to go back to the core of my appearance tonight. We know why, many reasons why more people are speaking up now, because they are beginning to trust us and beginning to feel more safe. Yes, there will be some who will always just do it on their own. However, as we know, having a community of support is very helpful in the decision to come forward to be more visible in any movement that means anything to you or has a direct or indirect impact on your life. I'd like to shine some light on the men of our community now. So you see men speaking out on many topics. You've seen and heard men speaking out about rent control. We are grateful for Jared Allen, Glenn, Gerard, Mr. William Scott, Sly, and other men who have stood at the podium and or worked in the background, Joe, Lou, Rob, Dave, Jeremy, John, Al, Dan, Marvin, and Kevin, in the days before we became virtual participants. More than a dozen men who represent another times 10, maybe 20, who are also sending emails. They're a mix of men who decided that they would stand up for their rights and what is right, and to ensure that they could sustain stable homes for their families here. So I wanted to make that comment because I've spoken to several men and gotten this feedback on, well, maybe I won't fight. Maybe because I don't want to come forward, I may just want to fight the unconscionable, question mark. No, not everybody wants to be a homeowner. Would it even be okay to say that with all the other things life throws at us, there may be men who are just as easy to pack up and move, but who loses when that happens? We all do in some way. Families torn apart, community would experience a loss of integrity, values, and connection to what brought them to Montclair in the first place. So everyone who knows, everyone knows someone who has had a life partner, husband, wife, whatever you want to call them, who is not able to handle the conflict and would rather just move on. We've had a lot of death and illness-stricken families here in our community. So I want to make sure that, everyone understands that our movement is a full-on movement across gender. And if the listeners would now take out a pencil and pen, play back the recording, we would love to see you all stay for all of your todays and tomorrows, If you're in a building without leadership, let us know. Reach out to us at tenantsorganizationmontclair@gmail.com. Make sure we can reply and also include a phone number. The last part will be now a thank you, because Betsy covered so much of the issue with the violations, and I'll shorten it by saying this is a clear violation of the court-ordered use of the list by the MPOA. You received all these written complaints, excessive misuse of residents of Montclair's email addresses and phone numbers. I myself did not sign up for Swift Reach Mobile alerts to receive deceptive text and email content from the group it was released to, the MPOA. So many thousands of residents in Montclair are relying on some response and action to that in some way, as screenshots of emails, screenshots of text messages from different cell phone numbers, and this deceptive content again, more of them are coming in and off of Facebook and into the light of your authority. We want to support you, and for you to have the continued support of the residents of our community with regards to the first ever in history approved rent control ordinance, April 7, 2020, for Montclair, New Jersey. 42% plus of Montclairians, Montclair Mounties, are renters. So we do want to thank you and make sure that people do continue to reach out to us and keep the hope alive with regards to our rent control implementation, because our rent control will be implemented. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Caller with the number starting 973-820. It is your time to speak. 973-820. Please state your name and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Tony Martin. I'm also with the Montclair Rent Control, the Montclair Citizens for Rent Control, and the Tenants Organization of Montclair. Catch my drift? And I also will try and shorten up a bit, because I know you have all heard from us at length. That's sort of one of my points. Hava said that it would be good to hear from our men step up and say things, but and many already have. But I'd like to say that the Montclair Property Owners Association, why don't their members speak out publicly at council meetings? We've heard from the director, who is not a Montclair resident, but we have never heard anything from the members of this landlord group. They do speak to us through press releases and, of course, those court-ordered emails and texts. In their latest statements, the MPOA seems to be attempting to cement a pose as the guardian of Montclair residents' best interests. They say they want to educate residents about the misinformation that has been spread by the council about rent control and the true reasons their group of property owners oppose it. So that's very interesting. I think most of us residents who received that barrage of emails and texts from MPOA can tell you what misinformation looks like and what a smear campaign looks like as well. The MPA is also stating it was never their goal to get your personal emails and text numbers, but were forced to do so because the council stonewalled them. This is obvious and self-serving. They claim they had to go to court because they had to protect Montclair from devastating financial impact of rent control. Again, obvious self-serving nonsense. Rent control does not destroy a community's economic stability. As you know, you voted for it, you put it in place. It is always designed to make local economies more stable, and there are simply no examples of bringing sudden ruin to a community. We include a comprehensive overview of studies on the impact of rent control in communities near and far on our Rent Control Coalition website, montclairrentcontrol.org. Let me also just say that MPOA is now amending their previous public positions to say, oh, well, rent control could work, but only with modifications. And only they know what the modifications are that we need. If the council would just meet with them, they'd be happy to tell you. But first of all, were they, during the public discussion of the issue over the year you have mentioned, and didn't they?
Ms. Martin, I would ask that you conclude your remarks because your 3 minutes has come and gone.
I'd be happy to. I challenge the MPOA to lay out their modifications to their proposed modifications to the ordinance and let us all, every citizen of Montclair, discuss and debate them. There's no harm in public debate. Thank you.
Thank you. Caller with the number beginning 973-747. 973-747. It is now your time to speak. Please state your name for the record and keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Yes, this is William Scott. First of all, I'd like to say congratulations to Ms. Lee's retirement. She's been a great supporter in the clerk's office. I visited the clerk's office on many times, and I've always enjoyed seeing that smiling face and prepared to serve the community and any resident is seeking information. So I will miss that smile and that cooperation in the future. I'm sure there's other folks in the office that will take up your lead, but you will be sorely missed, and it was a pleasure working with you and seeing you in the clerk's office. Thank you so much for your service. In regards to the comments in regards to the rent control ordinance, obviously, William Scott being a member of the Tomb Owner Organization and a landlord and a property owner, I do support the rent control ordinance and have been involved in that process for many years, being a member of the Montclair Branch NAACP Housing Committee, as well as the Housing Commission for the Township of Montclair. I won't repeat all the concerns that have been obviously pointed out with the strategy and the misleading information of the Montclair Property Owners Association, which will be dealt with in an appropriate way. If they do have some amendments that they'd like to see for the rent control ordinance, they should present it to not only the council, but the stakeholders who do support the rent control ordinance so we can have a conversation. So that's pretty much all I'll say on that point. But in regards to the new ordinance or the updating of the ordinance for the rental assistance program for very, very low income eligible residents of Montclair. I think that's a good start with the rental assistance up to $2,400 for 3 months rent or whatever is going to be appropriate. The Housing Commission would also be taking a look at making some modifications to that ordinance in the near future to not only support very low moderate income families. We want to make sure we support low income families as well as moderate income families. Let me be clear. That will be a need that should be looked at to address the needs of other families that could use that assistance moving forward with the rental units that are going to be coming online in the Township of Montclair over the next year or 2 years. So I think this is a good start. And again, also I'd like to welcome Mr. Jacobellis to the position as the liaison for the Housing Commission. He did participate in our first meeting a week or so ago, so we look forward with working with him moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Caller with the number starting 973-493. 973-493. It is your turn to speak. Please state your name for the record and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Okay, that caller has hung up. Caller with the number starting 917-733. It is your turn to speak. 917-733. Please state your name for the record and keep your comments
Hi,
to
this is
3
Diane.
minutes. Thank you.
This is Diane Moore. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Hello? Great. I'm late to this party, so I came in late. So I don't know where things stand right now, but is there a modified ordinance that's online that's being voted on? Is that what's happening now?
No, ma'am. This is the section of the meeting that is for public. I'm sorry, Mayor. Go ahead.
No, staff, I think we're both saying the same thing. Just answering the question that no, this is just the time for public comment. Thank you.
Okay. I have another question. Are all the rent rolls for a certain number of units in a building and up, is that public information?
I think that's
Mr. Karasik, if you heard that question.
I did hear the question. Rent rolls at particular buildings are, all property of the landlord, really. Sometimes you can look at voter lists and see who lives where, but with respect to actual rent rolls, those are not public.
Okay, so we wouldn't know then if a landlord were very able to or really struggling one way or the other to meet their expenses. That's something that would be that's not information that anybody has access to. So we're kind of commenting about something where we really don't understand the landlords. We don't really know what they have and what they don't have. I mean, I'm sure some are struggling and some are doing very well, but it's kind of hard it's also hard to compare developers that come into the market that go on the market for market rent. Let's say they're renting an apartment for $4,000 a month. It's no problem to limit him for 1 year later at 2.5% probably, because he's starting out at a certain level. And then there's a landlord with a much older building, with maybe 8, 10, 15 units or whatever, who's taken that same percentage increase on a much lower number. Maybe he's got a $1,250 tenant in there. So it's it's difficult to take and pool everybody in the same place. And we also don't have, how are you going to see, what if a landlord can't make his expenses now? What happens to that landlord? I, by the way, am absolutely for some kind of stabilized rent that only makes sense to me. I mean, New York has been doing it for decades with a great deal of success. So, how are we going to help that landlord to get to where he needs to get to?
So, ma'am, thank you for your questions, and that is your time. And I'll just speak to this piece. Hopefully, you do have a chance to review the rent control ordinance that's in effect. It does have a number of provisions where landlords can bring forward to the board that would be in place. Any hardships that they may be having, they have the right to share their financials, to discuss that piece, to see if there needs to be exemptions to any pieces because of different things. There are a lot of provisions written in there to get to the very data that you were asking about or noting in your kind of questions. So just note that the rent control ordinance does address many of those pieces. It does allow for the financials to be ascertained, and it does set up a board to review those items. So a lot of avenues to address those concerns that you are putting forward, while at the same time, it is intended to meet the desired important effect of stopping uncontrolled rent increases. So that's the purpose, and that is the information available. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may, this is,
Ira?
I just wanted to modify my answer a little bit to the question about the rent rolls. Once the rent control ordinance is implemented, then registration of the rent rolls is part of the rent control ordinance. So right now, we don't have access to rent rolls, but once the rent control ordinance is implemented, then we will have those rent rolls. They will be submitted to the township on an annual basis.
Thank you, Mr. Karasik. Mr. Stafford?
Thank you, Mayor. Caller with the number starting 973-886. It is your turn to speak. 973-886. Please state your name for the record and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, sorry, this is Betsy Tesler again. I had been disconnected and just reconnected so I could hear the rest of the meeting. I don't have any further comments.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Have a nice evening. Mayor, there is no one else on the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Stafford. Appreciate that. So with that, that does close public comment. So thank you very much for everyone who called in and the information shared there. We do have a new ordinance, item A. Madam Clerk, would you please do the honor?
Yes, this is an ordinance amending the Affordable Housing Ordinance of the Township of Montclair to establish a rental assistance program for very low-income tenants in eligible rental units.
Okay, thank you very much. My colleagues, you all see it there as written. And I so move or discuss.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Councilman Jacobellis, I know that you had looked at some pieces and might have had a quick modification. Was there something you wanted to note on that? I know that you'd looked at it, I think specifically the dollar amount matching up. Was there anything you wanted to make? We talked about potentially modifying, or are you good?
I'm good. The total of the greatest amount of rent basically is a cumulative of $2,400. This ordinance says $2,500 or whichever is greater. So I think the $100 for the families that this will impact is a nice thing for us to do. I would stick with the language as is.
Okay, great. Thank you, Councilman, for willing to do that. Appreciate that. It's moved and seconded. Any comments? This is for our introduction here, please, obviously. Any questions, concerns, comments? All right, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock?
Yes.
Councilor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Councilor Russo?
Yes.
Councilor Schlager?
Yes.
Jacobellis?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller?
Yes. Next, we have items 1 through 8 on the consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone wishes to have held out? Seeing nothing there, I so move items 1 through 8.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk?
Councilor Cummings?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock?
Yes.
Councilor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Councilor Russo?
Yes.
Councilor Schlager?
Yes.
Councilor Jacobellis? Mayor Spiller?
Yes. Next, resolution R-20-153, which is a resolution awarding a contract for tax court appraisal services and tax assessment inspection services. To the documentation there, Mr. Stafford, would you like to speak to it for a moment on the services which we've been provided for a number of years and are recommended to continue here?
Certainly, Mayor. Pursuant to applicable resolution R-18-250, authorizing competitive contracting, the township issued a request for proposals for tax court appraisal services and tax assessment inspection services, otherwise known as added assessment inspections. The township received 2 submissions that were analyzed and evaluated. Upon evaluation, the recommendation is made, and this resolution would award a contract for tax court appraisal services and tax assessment inspection services to Hendricks Appraisal Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $67,500 pursuant to the terms and conditions of the RFP and the terms set forth in the proposal submitted by Hendricks Appraisal.
Thank you very much. I think I moved it, but I'm not sure. So I so move.
Second?
Any questions, concerns, or comments?
Mayor, I do have a question, if I may.
Councilwoman Price Abrams?
Thank you. So just making sure I understand, Mr. Stafford, as you said, it's not to exceed that amount based on what they bid, and that is based on their hourly billings and for what they expect. In other words, there was something in here about if something was over and above, like I just wondered if this would, we would need to seek additional approval if services would exceed what they're expecting would be typical.
That's correct. And this is an instance, this is a contract that could result in that instance, because if more appeals are filed than we expect or forecast, or more evaluations or added assessments are required than we expect when we seek to let the contract, then we would come back to the governing body as practically as possible to seek an upward amendment of the contract amount, not to exceed limit.
Got it. I thank you for that clarification.
Any other questions, concerns, comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Councillor Cummings,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock,
Yes.
Councillor Price Abrams,
Yes.
Councillor Russo,
Yes.
Councillor Schlager,
Yes.
Councillor Jacobellis,
Yes.
Mayor Spiller.
Yes. Next is Resolution R-21-54, which is a resolution authorizing a place-to-place transfer of alcoholic beverage distribution license, and I so move.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, would you like to speak to this at all?
This is a place-to-place transfer, and Magnolia's is moving from 42 Upper Montclair Plaza to 620 Valley Road. All of the reports from the police department gave full approval to the character and business reliability of the applicant, and they have no objections to this transfer.
Thank you very much. Any questions, concerns, comments from my colleagues? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Councillor Cummings,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock,
Yes.
Councillor Price Abrams,
Yes.
Councillor Russo,
Yes.
Councillor Schlager,
Yes.
Councillor Jacobellis,
Yes.
Mayor Spiller.
Yes. Next is Resolution R-21-55, which is a resolution for emergency expenditure for the repair of the roadway in the vicinity of 533 to 545 Bloomfield Avenue due to a water main break, and I so move.
Second?
Moved and seconded, and I will just note, Mr. Stafford, if you could give kudos to the crews. I know that, every time we have one of these water main breaks or other pieces, they are right on it and working to get it done. I'll also note, anytime there's an emergency repair needed, it is vastly more expensive than when we follow our maintenance schedule. So I'm very proud of the investments that this council and certainly previous council have put forward to maintaining and improving our infrastructure over time. Certainly saves us tons of money and a lot of aggravation by doing it that way. But kudos when a break does happen, our crews really do a phenomenal job. So please pass that along. Any questions, concerns, or comments regarding this resolution from my colleagues? Hearing none. Madam Clerk?
Councillor Cummings,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock, Deputy Mayor Hurlock,
Yes.
did he say yes?
I said yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Councillor Price Abrams,
Yes.
Councillor Price Abrams,
Yes.
Councillor Russo,
Yes.
Councillor Schlager,
Yes.
Councillor Jacobellis,
Yes.
Mayor Spiller.
Yes. Councilwoman Slager, would you do the honors?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Invoice to Township of Montclair in favor of the following for the amount set opposite their respective names have been received, duly audited, and found correct. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Township of Montclair, Essex, that invoices be, and they are hereby ordered paid, and that checks be drawn by the Finance Department to the order of such persons for the amounts respectively and hereinafter stated on the computer printout attached hereto and made a part hereof. This bill list is dated September 29th, the year 2020, for the amount of $7,074,446.79. And I so move.
Second?
Any questions, concerns, comments? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Cummings? Deputy Mayor Hurlock?
Yes.
Councilor Price Abrams?
Yes.
Councilor Russo? Councilor Russo? Councilor Schlager?
Yes.
Councilor Jacobellis?
Yes.
Mayor Spiller?
Yes.
I'll go over it again. Councilor Cummings? Councilor Russo? Oh, did you say Councilor Cummings? I didn't hear you.
We're not hearing you, but either Councilman Cummings or Russo, we're not hearing either of you.
Yes.
Okay. And Russo as well?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Appreciate that. Before we do have an item to move into executive session for, before we move into that item, just go around for any comments. Mr. Stafford, anything?
I have nothing this evening, Mayor, other than to thank and congratulate Ms. Lee on her exemplary service on behalf of the township. The township is better for her having served the community, and I certainly personally and professionally thank her, and she will be sorely missed by her colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Scantlebury?
No comment other than to echo Mr. Stafford and my congratulations to Ms. Lee. It's been a pleasure working with you and an honor, and I wish you only the best going forward.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Mr. Karasik?
I have the same comments. I worked with Julie quite a lot over the last 2 years, and we've gotten to know each other pretty well. I wish you everything, all the best for the future, and I hope you enjoy yourselves.
Thank you.
That's it. Thanks, man.
Excellent. Let's go to Councilman Jacobellis.
Echo the same things for Miss Lee. I'm going to miss you. Short term, I've known you, but you've been a delight to work with in that short time. So good luck.
Thank you.
And just to our viewers, just want to remind people that ballots are arriving in the mail. This is what it looks like. Please make sure to vote in a timely manner and know that there is a county drop box outside of Town Hall at 205 Claremont Avenue. And the township has taken action, I believe Mr. Stafford can confirm, to make parking across the street free, which is a great move just to make it easier for people to pull up and vote and pull away. But please do make sure to take timely action on your ballots. And if you have any questions, go to EssexClerk.com. That's EssexClerk.com. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Jacobellis. And also on the state site, you can track your ballot to make sure you can see when they've received it. Great points, Councilman. Thank you very much. Councilman Russo.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My voice is practically gone with some problems with my throat, but I just want to save my energy to say thank you to Julie again for 19 years, serving most of the time that I've served. And as a African-American woman in this position, it was an achievement, and I think that we're going to keep seeing you. You're on the border. When you say you're in Bloomfield, we know you're 1 block over the border of Montclair, right off Alexander, so you're not far. And thank you for the efforts you've made all these years. What I want to emphasize to people, Julie worked even when she was just a deputy clerk or a staff member to get the petitions that so many people have struggled with over the years to get all the signatures in, even get on the ballot. And now she's got to deal with the issue of or has started to deal with the issue of a petition for, well, it's not for rent control. I mean, my last point, Mayor, again, is I save my energy for this. I'm reading some of the emails that people sent with somebody saying, or this group saying that Montclair's council made a mess of rent control. So let's protect the tenants and homeowners by signing the petition to get on the ballot. I've never seen a bigger consumer fraud in all the years I worked as the director of Lemon Law and assistant to the Consumer Affairs Director in New Jersey government under the Attorney General. It is indeed a fraud to say that our council, which passed the first rent control in history through a moderate effort to balance the interests of tenants and landlords, and to have us be called the group that made a mess of rent control and then tell people to sign something making them think they're going to protect tenants. It's really a fraud, and I appreciate all the calls on this tonight. But Julie, thanks for your efforts in reviewing the petition. I just hope that people who signed were not misled. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I know we all share your sentiment and thoughts on both counts. So thank you. Next, let's go to Councilman Cummings.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. I want to thank you for attending the opening of my Amin's Corner grand opening. I hope you enjoyed the sandwich I suggested that you get.
It was a good suggestion. I did enjoy it.
It's a great addition to the Fourth Ward and the South End District. Very good food and everything, so it was good to be there. Of course, Juliet, walking in there so many times, I think it just your smile, makes people feel like even though they're going to ask a question, you feel like, oh, do I have to answer this? You just made it easier. Transitioning into the office, you and your staff were there available. And I just want to say thank you with all my heart. And I want to echo what Mr. Russo said, to see you as an African-American woman hold that position and hold it with grace, also hard work, and exemplify what we need in that role. I really appreciate that. So good luck to you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your time away. But we are close by, and you're always welcome to say hello.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Price Abrams.
Mayor, just a few items on my mind. I had heard from a business owner on Church Street that she was observing a fair number of people not wearing masks, and I'm sure I've seen some of the same. And I just want to remind us of why we really need to adhere to that protocol, because it's really what's enabling us to sort of have some of the freedom to be out there and really engaging in life in the community the way we want to, if not fully the way we want to. So it's just a reminder that people really need to adhere to those protocols about social distancing and mask wearing and the slippage. I think maybe it's just people get tired of these kinds of things, but we just have to remember and remain vigilant and remember why we're doing it, and that it's really what's enabling us to have some of the benefits of life as we used to know it. Just another detail, I know we passed this resolution tonight with suicide prevention for the month of September, and of course, it's something that we think about all the time. I just want to make sure people know that we should continue talking about that and other ways that we want to memorialize important issues. COVID has put such stress in so many ways on many people. There are resources available. Reach out if there's anything that, whether through municipal government, that we can help with to connect people to services, or through nonprofits, of course, but just amplification of what we had said earlier. And I just want to say one more thing on this election, which is that registration. So to augment what's been said so far, registration is still open. So if you are not yet registered to vote, it is not too late. I pulled it up. October 13th is the deadline. That gives us about 2 weeks from today. So I just want to make sure if one has not yet done so, to don't sit this one out and take steps for that. And then I will just end, as others have, to Juliet, to say, again, thank you so much for the kindnesses that you showed from the time that we met early in the process and through to the time that I've been serving. And I will also be stopping by to see you tomorrow. So I thank you.
Okay, I look forward to it.
Thank you very much. And now Councilwoman Schlager.
Thank you, Mayor. I was at Town Hall this afternoon getting a flu shot that they are providing. So I urge anybody out there who is inclined to get a flu shot to do so. They're available at many of the local drugstores for free. And I think it's a really important thing to get this year, especially. So while I was at Town Hall, I went to see Juliet and gave her a virtual hug. And I want to say also, Juliet, thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for all the birthday cakes over the years that you helped all of us celebrate our birthdays for all.
Miss that.
And those are greatly appreciated. And I'll miss the mutual talks that we've had over shopping and our dogs. And your dog is going to get a lot more attention now that you're going to be home with her. So I wish you all the best, Juliet. And
Thank you.
please have lots
Thank
of
you.
here in Montclair.
Thank you so much.
Juliet, I heard you say you missed the cakes and stuff. Trust me, we miss it more than you. Yeah.
No, we can't get cake now, with the pandemic.
That's right. That's right. Mr. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will also echo the sentiments of most this evening. Ms. Lee, it's been an absolute honor and privilege to work with you. I thank you also for the, I have a different type of cake that I always get, which is that Italian rum cake, which my grandmother used to get for me, and you found it. So I appreciate your efforts on that. But I know that I'm going to see you anyway, because we are members of the Friends of Barnett together.
That's right.
And for years, we've attended many of the dinners, and I look forward to seeing you once we get past this pandemic at the fish and chips and trivia night at George Ennis Annex.
Right.
A Godspeed and a healthy and long retirement. You certainly have deserved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You bet. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I will just briefly note just emphasis points from what my colleagues have already noted. A number of ribbon cuttings happen throughout the township, so we still have businesses that are opening and trying to succeed even during these difficult times. Some interesting concepts: cafe/hair salon, new food market, as Councilman Cummings noted, and others. So we wish them all well. And as you are able to get out to Councilwoman Price Abrams' point safely and wearing a mask and enjoy some of those new places and some of our established places, it's certainly a good thing to do. As Councilman Jacobellis noted, please be sure to fill out and then return your ballot. Drop it in the mailbox, drop it in the collection box here at Town Hall, which is monitored by a camera 24/7. There are multiple ways to track the ballots. There are instructions, as he noted, online to see how to do it. So please, make sure you take advantage of all of those pieces as well. And I know I started with this, but you can't hear it enough, Madam Clerk, just for all your years of service. We thank you for it. It's amazing how quick time flies, right? Even for I'm sure some of my colleagues who've been here, the length of time I have as well, and just we've known you for so many years now already, and that seems like it's gone by in just a flash. And now we know you get to really enjoy your retirement. You've earned that, and we're excited for you. So as Councilman Russo noted, almost noting that we're all going to have to come by your house, it seemed like, because you're only a block or so away. But I think you'll be able to get away from us as you need to, and come back and visit when you want to. So we say thank you again on behalf of every township employee, on behalf of every elected official, on behalf of all the residents here. We say thank you. So enjoy your retirement. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm still trying to get over this proclamation. How did this happen? But thank you so much. I thank you all for the lovely flowers. I just thank you all for your kindness, and it's been a pleasure working with you. And I'm going to miss you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And with that,
Good luck. Good luck.
You, Councilman. With that, we have Resolution R-2156, which is a resolution authorizing executive session without the public being permitted, in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12B. And the topic will be personnel and litigation. Reminder, we may come out and then conduct business. So with that, I move to go into executive session. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are in executive session. And please.
Mayor, we're going to need 2 minutes for TV 34 to disconnect, please.
Sure, absolutely. Please let
I just
Christine,
hope there's a way we can, I hope there's a way we can get a good,
Christine is very politically sharp, we all know.
no, not necessarily. She set up this background for me here. Now, and she made me wear the tie for autumn, an autumn tie.
There you go. Cool. Just give us the nod when it happens, please. Excellent. Thank you. sir. We are now exiting executive session. I will entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. We are out of executive session. And as noted, we potentially could take action coming out of executive session. And it appears we will be doing so today. Mr. Deputy Mayor, can I ask you to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I would like to make a motion that we make an appointment for the clerk position with Ms. Angelese Berman. Excuse me. Excuse me. And I so move for a 3-year term.
Thank you very much, sir.
I second that for Angelese Bermudez-Nieves.
Thank you, sir. It's been moved and seconded. Questions, concerns, comments on the motion? All right, seeing none from my colleagues, I will just also note with this potential vote, if it passes, I want to congratulate her on the position. Certainly, we had a number of excellent candidates for the position, and looking through a number of resumes, I want to thank our subcommittee that did the work of going through piles and piles of resumes to look for candidates and bring forward a number for interview. We know how much time that takes, and we were all very appreciative of that. And then, of course, the thoughtful deliberations and debates that go into these pieces to lead us to a candidate that we all feel very strongly about. So with that, I will ask the clerk to call the roll, please, on this one.
Mr. Mayor, this is Ira. I just wanted to make sure that the motion had a starting date. You said a 3-year term, but you didn't mention specifically the starting date.
I believe
Councilor Cummings.
Hold on 1 second before you do that, as we put the final date in. The last day is the first day would be November 1st, I believe. Is that correct? What? November 1st, correct? What's the date, Juliet?
Yes, my date is November 1st.
But are we not in a position to hire her for?
So that's your last date, and then your
last day, effective November 1st.
No, I'd like to correct that.
The clerk position is vacant.
Yes, the clerk position is vacant as of now.
It'd be immediate.
Julie's position.
So you want to do it immediate. Bill, is that your motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make that immediately, please, as that position is open currently.
Excellent.
Right.
Thank you very much. And Councilman Russo, is that your second to make it immediate?
Yes, I guess October 1st would be the date.
October 1st, not November 1st.
No, definitely October 1st, which is Thursday.
Well, neither of one of those is the same thing. Councilman made the motion, the deputy mayor made the motion, and the motion is immediately. It's been seconded, which would be immediately. So that's the motion.
Okay.
Yep. Sorry. So it's for immediate appointment.
Okay, that's fine.
Now, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilor Cummings.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hurlock.
Yes.
Councilor Price Abrams.
Yes.
Councilor Russo.
Yes.
Councilor Schlager.
Yes.
Councilor Jacobellis.
Yes.
Mayor Spiller.
Yes. And once again, Juliet, we say on the same meeting, we have the privilege of saying thank you so much to a wonderful person who's been serving for so long, and to welcome another individual who we hope can only have as distinguished a tenure as you and so many others. So thank you very much. Seeing no other business on the agenda, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
So moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate
Good night,
it.
everyone.
Have a great
Good
night.
Well.
Aye.
Good night.
Have a good
Good night.
one.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you very much,
Julie.
everybody.
Thanks, Julie.